Karma is not a law of reward and punishment. It is not a way God uses to punish people for committing sins. It is a reflection of your mental state, giving you the experience of heaven and hell. When you are angry, it is not that you will incur sin and pay for it your next life. You are suffering with your anger now. That itself is the hell you suffer. You are suffering inside in the same way that you are torturing the person you are angry with. The fire you spit outside will burn with the same intensity inside you also. No matter whether it burn the other person or not, the fire of anger will surely burn you. The sword used to cut someone outside will cut you inside with the same intensity. Remember, it is a double-edged sword. A beautiful story from Buddha's life. Once a man came and spat on Buddha's face. Buddha wiped his face and asked the man, "Do you want to say something more or this is all?" Ananda, his close disciple, was very angry. He was fuming that some man came and spat on his master's face, and that too for no reason at all. He said to Buddha, "Master, if you give me permission, I will handle this man." Buddha replied, "Have you forgotten that you are a monk, a sannyasi, a renunciate? That poor man is already suffering with his anger. See his angry face. His body is shaking with that anger. And before spitting on me, do you think we would have been celebrating and dancing? He is mad with his own anger. In that state of madness, he came and spat on me. What is the bigger punishment for him than being in such a state? And what harm does it has done to me? I just had to wipe the spit off my face. Now you don't get agitated. Otherwise, you are building the same anger inside you. Why are you punishing yourself? That foolishness. Feel compassion for the poor man instead." The man was listening and was surprised and confused to see Buddha behave in this way. He was expecting Buddha to become angry. That is what he wanted. Instead, the compassion and understanding Buddha showed was just too shocking for him. Buddha said, "Go home. You look tired. You have punished yourself enough. Forget about what you did to me. You did no harm to me. This body will return to earth and people will do all kinds of things like spitting. So go home and relax." The man was completely shaken by Buddha's response. He went back home. He came back that evening, fell at Buddha's feet and cried, "Please forgive me." Buddha calmly said, "I was not angry in the first place. How can I forgive you? But I am happy to see you relieved from the anger and in a state of harmony. Just remember, never do such acts again. This is how you create hell for yourself." We will look about karma and the next body. How do we choose the next birth? Once the life forces leave the body, within 3 kshanas, 3 moments, it chooses the next body. At the time of death, the 3 most enjoyed experiences in that lifetime stand out as one's last thoughts. The choices of next body arises from the mindset based on these 3 experiences. These 3 thoughts will be based on one's from each of the total karma. So Sanchita, birth karma, prarabdha and gathered karma, agamya. Based on this, the prarabdha karma will take shape for this birth. Practicing spiritual life once solutions in one's lifetime will reduce the gathered sanchita karma of that life, because these understandings will help one to live with awareness. Meditation helps to reduce the prarabdha karma. It acts only upon the conscious and physical levels, but also has the capacity to penetrate and clean the unconscious on a physical, mental and being level. However, the largest balance in the bank of karma, the total sanchita karma, can only be dissolved through the Master's grace. The more these 3 karmas are reduced, the less and constraints of choices for next body. Since each of these three karmas will dictate a corresponding intense experience to be lived, the next body will need to provide a space for these experiences to be lived. It is like this. If I say, let me meet a person who can speak English, I have more choices than if I say, let me meet a person who can speak English, Spanish and German. Similarly, if you have all the three types of karma, there are more constraints on your next birth. For example, the desire influenced by your total sanchita karma may be, I want to be beautiful. The desire influenced by your karma of this birth, prarabdha, may be, I want to be rich. The desire influenced by your gathered or agamya karma, maybe I want to settle down in USA. It is more difficult to get a body for you for your life energies next birth that will lead to a satisfaction of all the three desires within the short gap of 3 kshanas. So it ends up choosing a body that satisfies the strongest desire among the 3 desires. The combined desires, the mindset with which the life energy leaves the previous body is the vasana, the seeds of desire we earlier talked about. So these 3 desires, these 3 thoughts will be sent in one glimpse in 3 kshanas as one vasana. The vasana is like a television channel, and the body that attracts the vasana is like the television set tuned to this channel. The depth of the vasana and the body that matches the vasana attracts the life energy. Just like a television set tuned to the satellite's channel's frequency receive the corresponding magnetic waves, in the same way, the vasana is attracted by the body. The life energy, the spirit departing from the previous body enters the new body that it selects. As the body leaves the womb of the mother, the entire body in the birth canal, the darkness of the casual layer that it felt from previous body corresponds to the darkness of mother's birth canal. Since the body has been prepared by the energies of parents, the life energy chooses the combined energies of the parents based on the desires, the vasana, the mental attitude with which it leaves the previous body. So, the parents do not choose the child. It is the child that chooses its parents. Having chosen a particular body, the spirit or life force that has to satisfy the other 2 desires, it had but could not choose an appropriate body for. However, during its transition through the darkness, the deep pain experienced by the spirit erases all the memories of the vasana it carries before it enters the new body. The new entity no longer remembers the desire with which it left the previous body. Instead of fulfilling the desires with which it left the previous body, since it has forgotten them, the life energy in the new body seeks new desires and collects more karma. Now, of the 3 types of karma, if one of them is gone, the choice constraints are fewer and the life force can be more focused in the choices. Cleaning the gathered agamya karma and this birth's prarabdha karma can be done by individual by understanding about life and by meditating. The Master's grace will reduce the total sanchita karma. Once the total sanchita karma is cleansed, there is no reason to take another body. Then, if the next birth still happens, it is for no reason, but for overflowing joy and bliss. The birth is thus chosen consciously because there is no pull of karma. The life lived is a leela or a reasonless play of an incarnation. How did the cycle of birth and death start? For all of us, our total sanchita karma was initially a divine play. For an enlightened master, it is still a divine play. As he has no karma at all, playing because you can play is the divine play. We took birth out of choice. We forgot our prarabdha karma, started gathering agamya karma and expanded the total sanchita karma. Then, to the exhaust to exhaust the increased load, we had to take another birth where we collected more desires and karma. This is how the cycle of life and death continues. Please understand. Your gathered agamya karma is your bondage. The total karma and this birth karma can be a divine play. The result of this play is the karma of that birth. After birth, if we play without gathered karma, it will continue to be divine play. The bondages comes with gathered karma. Will a human be born as an animal, bird or insect? Can he be born as a human being in the next birth? This is a very good question. Let me boldly declare this truth and clear all the myths that have been surrounding this one question on the wheel of karma. When a human being takes birth as human, once he will continue taking the life of a human unless he has acted against the consciousness, like torturing others, committed violent acts in the physical, mental or verbal form against existence, which is in the form of the master, nature and human consciousness. The intensity of these acts is what gets recorded in the cosmic karma record, karmic record. Understand? It is not the act itself, but the intensity of the act that matters. When a person spends his whole life in lower consciousness, he can be reborn as an animal. For example, if he spends his whole life only eating and sleeping, he can be born as an animal. See, if the person has not experienced the unique human qualities like falling in love, seeking enlightenment, even once in his lifetime, he will be reborn as an animal because he had a human body. But the channels of human experiences have not been awakened. You are like a wave in the ocean of existence. The wave rises from the ocean, but it is still connected to the ocean. It may think itself as an individual existence, but that is just a myth. Whether it is rising above ocean or falling, it is still a part of ocean on its own because of joy. When the wave takes the body, there will be no gathered or agamya karma. When agamya karma is acquired, it will corrupt the total sanchita karma that was pure. This sanchita karma has to be exhausted in the next birth. Corrupted total sanchita karma generates the cycle of life and birth. This is how the wheel of karma starts. The new body that the life energy occupies does not remember the prarabdha karma that life energy brought with it while it took the birth. So, you do not remember the desires with which you left your previous body. Reminding yourself of those desires again and fulfilling them in this birth is what doing tapas, penance, and becoming enlightened is all about. So what happens when you forgot at birth that you have came through the divine play? When the total karma weight becomes excessive, you realize there is some problem somewhere. Immediately you wake up and get enlightened again. The rewinding and coming back is enlightenment. Understand? Sometimes if you get a really bad dream, only a thought like, I am dreaming, will come at the first place. Then you actually wake up. That thought of I am dreaming, coming is turning towards enlightenment. Waking up is getting enlightened. That thought of I am dreaming, this whole world is a dream. And then renouncing the false world as catching the reality is enlightenment. In this world, the same experiences repeat making you tired and bored. It gives rise to the suspicion. Am I seeing a dream? Is this life a dream? Then you start doubting the world, doubting the promise the world gives. It is like the newspaper ads about some beachside resort that show the beach, the table, food, everything looking good in heaven and the promise of luxury. You doubt that promise because you realize that if 100 people see this and go, and many will actually feel the ecstasy promised. Similarly in life also, you doubt the promises your mind has been making all along, but never fulfilling any. techniques to overcome karma, and reliving to relive. Till now, what we discussed was a preventive measure for incurring karma. As a curative of karma, I will give you a simple technique. Right from this moment, try and remember all the incidents in your life. Start going backwards from this moment to your childhood days. Remember what you can. Do not bother about what you cannot understand. What you cannot remember is only a hangover. It is not touched you deeply. That is why it is not retained in your memory. Try this technique for a year. Reliving is a wonderful way of reliving. There is a way to gain again and again, remind yourself to not to collect karma and not to and live without influence of the earlier incurred karma. The first step is to have clear understanding that karma is powerless in the presence of an elevated consciousness. There is an important difference between normal human beings and enlightened masters. A normal person does not have the ability to make his body alive out of his will. His body is either alive or it is dead, that's all. It is not under his control. But for an enlightened person, it is under his control. He can either make his body alive or relax. Because of this ability, he can also make another body alive. When an enlightened being chooses to make a stone or metal alive, that stone or metal becomes a representation of his own very self. Masters like Patanjali from Chidambaram, Karurara from Thanjavur, Kongavaram from Tirupati, Meenakshi from Madurai, they all have energized the deities in these temples. Deities are therefore considered to be the very bodies of the enlightened master. Disciples continue serving the deities even after the masters leave their physical body. The body of the deity is considered to be the body of the master himself. That is the reason why the deities receive the same respect offered by an enlightened master. For example, all the disciples initiated by an enlightened master will worship his temple for generations together. You will see whatever is offered to the master will also be offered to the deity. Masters, even after they decide to leave the body, are continuously available to their disciples through the deities that they energized. So understand, karma is simply the effects of thoughts, words and deeds that stem from deep ignorance and cause you to gain again and again trend familiar patterns of misery. The way to break this cycle is to tune into the clicks received from the master and live in an elevated zone of consciousness. Yes. Thank you for attending. Namaskar.